Just outside of Nairobi, these ivory burnings have become a sacred ritual. They are staged by the Kenyan government to demonstrate that no one will profit from the slaughter of elephants for their tusks. But Kenya is one of the few countries in Africa holding tough on the United Nations ivory ban imposed in 1989. By then, the African herd had been cut in half by rampant poaching. And now 3 African countries have won permission to hold one-time-only auctions of their existing ivory stock, and South Africa wants to follow suit. Here in Washington, conservation groups are gearing up for a major fight at the April meeting of the United Nations Convention on Trade in Endangered Species.
There's a real possibility that this renewed legal trade can generate illegal trade, and that can impact other countries in Africa and Asia who are not prepared or have the resources to deal with increases in poaching and the need for better law enforcement.
That's the way we see it, a green light for unlimited poaching of elephants and the trade of ivory, which in our opinion will clearly endanger them to the point possibly of extinction.
While they fight the political battles, conservationists are also supporting programs like this animal orphanage at the Nairobi National Park, where they're raising 4 baby elephants and 3 baby rhinos who've been abandoned or whose mothers have been killed. It's hard to believe, but I'm sitting here next to a baby rhino. He's just 1 week old and was brought here to the orphanage because his mother had no milk. He'll stay here about 3 years before he's relocated into the wild. Tourists come from all over the world to watch the elephants play. Each one's paired with a keeper who will never leave their side and will act as a surrogate mother until they too are reintroduced into a game park with the other animals. This family was visiting the orphanage from Northern Virginia.
Well, I think it really tells us something about ourselves because we see ourselves in them.
They're very human, and you see in the infant elephants all the same emotions that you see in children.
Daphne Sheldrick, who started this orphanage 20 years ago, explains how the babies are fed on demand at least 18 to 24 pints of milk a day. A blanket replicates the massive body of a mother who is no longer there. It's a costly and time-consuming project with a tremendous public relations payoff.
These orphans have played a very significant role in spreading the message about elephants, what sort of animals they are, and how very human they are in their emotions.
And across the Atlantic, here in Washington, there is an echo.
When elephants go, there's nobody who can put them back, and that makes them a particularly important treasure. They're glorious to look at, they're highly intelligent, their behavior is interesting, and they're everything that we should preserve for future generations.
Perhaps no other creature on the planet inspires our imagination quite like the elephant, which is the world's largest land mammal. When this Discovery IMAX film played at the Museum of Natural History here in Washington, record numbers of visitors came to watch. The name elephant comes from the Greek elephas, meaning ivory, and now it's that prominent tusk intended for protection that presents the elephant's greatest vulnerability. And the question is whether the efforts of conservationists will go up in smoke.